Hello, my name is Monique Beaulieu. For my Keystone, I did something a bit unusual. I wrote a book. It's a novella called Inheritance, but before I get into what it's about, I should tell you a bit about what the rest of my Keystone is about. My question is, what influences the formation of identity? And I chose to look at it through psychology and literature. People change quite a bit as they grow up, and they get more time to do it now than they did 50 years ago. This newer stage to development is called emerging adulthood, and it is what I am focusing on. During this period, there are a lot of things that influence your identity as it changes. Family impacts this a lot. You spend a lot of time with your family. You also spend a lot of time with your friends and at school. These all influence how you behave, feel, and interact with other people. Your identity is also influenced very strongly by how the society you live in wants you to act. They impress gender norms and roles onto you from before you are born. How can something that important in your life not influence your identity? I decided I wanted to represent these concepts through fiction for my Keystone. So that's what I wrote my novella about. I wove the concepts that I talk about in the psychology section of my Keystone into the fiction I wrote. I have always loved reading. There was a magic and adventure to it that has always called to me. It has helped me start to figure out who I am. I wanted to use this medium of fiction that is so dear to me to help others see identity and growing up the way I do, and how understanding it can help you understand yourself and others better. My novella is about a girl named Penny. There is magic and mystery, and I want to read you a small excerpt from my book. Deep in my research for my lit essay, I hear a ding. Lacey wants to know if I'm interested in going swimming with her and some friends later that day. My essay has been going well, so I accept the offer. It would be good to get some exercise anyway. I shoot a text to Lindsay to see if he wants to come, to which he replies that yes, he'll join us that evening. Lindsay and I have been chatting more recently. We really relaxed around each other after I sent him numerous biology memes, and he responded with psychology and trans memes. Later that day, Lacey turns up at my door with a bag on her shoulder. Come on, let's go! Alright. I was almost ready anyway. Let me just text Lindsay, and he can meet us at the bus, I said as I grabbed my swim bag. When we got to the bus stop, almost all of Lacey's friends were there, along with Lindsay. Hey, I said, when I reached Lindsay. He pulled me into a quick hug. You look like you needed a hug, he replied. Thanks, I smiled at him. It was nice to have a friend who touched me more often. Lacey was great and all, but she just didn't like physical contact all that much. We got to the pool and made our way through the change rooms quickly, and splashed into the water. A few older adults looked at us with disdain, like we were crashing their party or something. We ignored them and started a game that involved dunking people repeatedly. I dove into the deep end, the water parting around me, caressing my body and calming me down. It was beautiful and peaceful here. I opened my eyes and gasped. The water seemed to make all of the colors around me sharp and clear, with an almost crystalline texture. The light that filtered its way through the clear water, lighting the scene of my friends playing at the other end of the pool. I stayed there at the bottom of the pool for who knows how long before I realized that I was breathing fine. I froze. I was breathing underwater. How? How was this possible? My hands came up to my face and I realized they were webbed. I stared at the thin layer of skin between my fingers in shock, my breathing completely forgotten. I poked at it with one of my other fingers. It just felt like normal skin. I remembered then why I had brought my hands up in the first place. I was breathing. Feeling my face and mouth, everything felt normal. It was only when I reached my neck that I noticed anything different. There, on either side of my neck, were 3 slits. Gills. I had what felt like gills. I needed to see this in a mirror, and to not let people see me. I swam towards the side of the pool, noticing how easy and smooth it was. The water sliding over me. It reminded me of running my hands along one of those fuzzy fleece blankets, making sure my hair was forward over my neck. I looked around the pool area to see if anyone was watching me. No one was. I pulled myself out of the pool and walked as quickly as I could towards the change rooms. At this time in the evening, the family change rooms were dead quiet, so I ducked in there. I moved to the mirrors, looking at the pinkish lines fading into my skin. "What's going on?" Lindsay asked from behind me. I hadn't even noticed him follow me in. "What's up with your neck?" he continued. I turned around, showing him my still webbed fingers. "I don't know what's going on. I was breathing underwater a few minutes ago, though," I replied. "What?" he asked, seemingly not believing me. To be fair, though, I didn't believe me either. "I had webbed fingers and toes and gills," I said slowly. "They just sort of faded away when I got out of the water," I continued. "I don't know if I believe this. Can you do it again?" Lindsay asked. "I don't know," I responded. "Let's go test it then?" he asked, and I nodded in assent. We walked as casually as we could back to the quiet corner of the deep end of the pool. "Don't worry, I know CPR if worst comes to worst," he joked. I gave him a look that said, "This is not the time for jokes," and proceeded to jump into the pool. The minute the water closed over my head, I felt the calm and relaxation wash over me again. I automatically inhaled, before I could stop myself. Sure enough, the gills were back, and the webbing was stretching up between my fingers again. I looked up, pulling my hair out of the way. Lindsay was staring at the fluttering gills on the side of my neck. Lindsay slipped into the water, taking a lungful of air before he slipped under the water for a better look. I felt soft fingers move my hair out of the way and look closer at my neck. He suddenly broke the surface, gasping. I followed him up to the surface. "What does it look like?" I asked softly. "Well, I'm pretty sure those are gills," he said just as softly. And while treading water, he pulled one of my hands closer to look at. "Does it hurt?" he asked, stroking one finger along the web between my index and middle fingers. "No, sort of just feels like normal skin," I replied. Interesting," he mused. "Can I watch you breathe again?" he asked. Is it an easy transition from air to water? Does it feel different? Can you talk?" He rapidly fired more questions at me. I'm not sure," I answered. Then I did as he asked and ducked under the water. "Can you hear me?" I asked. He nodded. "Turns out I can still speak. That's good, I guess." We spent another 35 minutes messing around trying to figure out what I could do. Then we went and got dressed. Once my gills and webs had faded enough, I told Lacey I was going to catch an earlier bus back and that I was pretty tired. Lindsay and I spent the entire ride back having a whispered conversation about what was going on and shared various theories. We agreed that we should meet up the next day to research. After searching for several days, Lindsay and I got nowhere. We had hit dead end after dead end until Lindsay noticed that my necklace looked like a water droplet and was etched with a symbol that had lots of swirling designs. "That symbol. I recognize it," Lindsay said. Then he started flipping through one of the mythology books we had gotten out of the library. "It's here somewhere," he kept muttering as he flipped through the book. 5 minutes later, he came up with a grin on his face. "Found it!" Lindsay exclaimed. "Okay, so it says here that this symbol," he tapped the page, "is one that represents the naiads in Greek mythology. It's said that all naiads had this symbol over their hearts, and that it was a sign of being mature in their species." He looked at me. "Naiad fits," I replied, "but that doesn't answer the question of how any of this is even possible." "Say there is magic," Lindsay said. "There is magic, and you, inherited some form of it. Maybe from your family. That's where you got the pendant, right?" I sat in silence for a moment. Does my family know? Are they naiads too? I didn't know what I was supposed to do next. I sat there, feeling lost for an indeterminate amount of time. The thoughts revolving in my head were bewildered, and I was stuck on the fact that magic exists.
I see the sun.